Hello and welcome to, I nearly said Thursday reading sprints, Sunday reading sprints. I don't know what day it is at the moment, and I'm just confusing myself even more by doing it on a different day. But you may have seen on my social media, I was poorly the other day, still not 100%, but I thought I do need to start writing and get some stuff done. So lovely Dawn has come to give me a bit of motivation, and our friend Rosie Talbot is hopefully going to be here soon. So, and you've been poorly too, Dawn, so we can kind of commiserate.
And Rosie has too.
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody I'm talking to is like, oh, I'm so sick.
I know, it's that time of year, but it's spring, isn't it? We're supposed to be feeling better.
Supposedly.
Like, it's winter just kind of keeping its last claws into us.
I know, I do see flowers around, so there's, you know, sickness has no right to be haunting us still.
No, I know. Maybe this is like the final throes of it, and then we can actually enjoy spring. But I don't know. Is it cold in Wales? It's still pretty cold where I am.
Yeah, it's pretty cold and rainy and miserable every day. I'm getting to that point where I'm missing blue skies and I'm just craving blue.
Yeah,
no
occasionally catch it, and I'm like, oh, blue skies. Although we went to Lake District last week, and we went last June, and the weather was better this week in February than last June. It rained the whole time that we were there, and then this time it was cold, but it was dry, and it made such a difference it being dry that we weren't just like getting changed all the time.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Because it's so wet here. I keep telling people, because I just learned this fact about where I live. It rains 270 days out of the year.
Wow.
I know. So like everything is really spongy and wet here. There's lots of green sponge everywhere. And I love the rain, but sometimes you're just like, God, I just need a bit of dryness. I can handle the cold if it was dry.
It's kind of atmospheric for a horror author, though, right? That everything's sort of mossy and growing. Like you turn your back for a second and it's grown behind you.
It's really
almost
misty
like
too.
the inspired the book about things that creep in upon you.
And the trees crept in.
Yeah.
So I do love it. I think because I've been sick, I'm like dreaming about Bora Bora and like sunshine and blue waters, and which is rare for me. I rarely want to do warm weather, but lately I've just craved a bit of sunlight. To get a sunlight lamp.
Yeah, I think because of like COVID and like the lack of traveling, I've started to think about like where we can go that's nice and warm. Rosie's here, so I'm just going to add Rosie.
Yay!
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I'm a little late. I just had to try and save a mouse from Captain Haddock.
Of course you did. Oh no!
Oh.
Well, she took it outside. So I wish it well, but I don't think it's going to end happily.
No.
Hopefully it's quick.
My cat used to bring me presents like that. The best ones being the birds that it would let go of, you know, and it comes into the house with the birds. Like, look, Mummy, I brought you a bird. Fly free, bird. Birds can cause such chaos, can't they, when they're freed in the house?
I used to get mice heads. Mouse heads. On my pillow, no less. Fabulous.
That's nice. That's true, love.
Thank you for the present.
I always try and rescue the birds, and once I ended up having it was because they get so scared, and I didn't want to release it because I think if I'd released it, it just would have gone plop. I had it in my little office, and it just kind of clung to my jumper for a bit while I worked, and then when it was looking a bit livelier, I opened the window and put it on the windowsill, and it eventually.
I love that.
And that's very you, Rosie, to adopt animals that cling to you.
Yeah.
I hope it survived. Well,
I'd like to think.
I choose to think it did. Yeah.
I feel like it could keep stuff in the pockets as well, Rosie. Like, how many mice could live in each of your pockets?
Quite a few. You know what? I did once spend an hour at a friend's house in trying to entice kittens. And it was like the greatest moment of my life when like this kitten not only went in and played, and then it fell asleep in my pocket. And it's the cutest thing. It was in my yellow skirt. And then when it was time to leave, I was like, can I just sneak this kitten out?
Tell me you got a photo. I need to see this.
I do. I'll send it to you. It was a while ago, and I was like, yeah. Alas, I could not keep the kitten. I had to return the kitten.
Oh,
it was clearly at home in my pocket.
I clearly wanted to adopt you.
I knew an animal would have been in your pockets. I just knew it. I don't know how. How are you feeling? We've been commiserating, Rosie, that we're both on the tail end of being ill. Are you any better now?
I'm still having a chronic pain flare up, so like it feels like my bones are on fire.
Oh
Oh,
no.
I hate that.
And it's
Ouch.
unfortunately it's in my hands as well. So I'm just gonna do as much typing as I can, but I've been kind of typing,
Oh
try
dear.
not to bend my knuckles too much. It's so annoying. Like it's just really bad timing. I got
Yeah,
stuff
it
to
always
do.
is. Do you have any like dictaphone software?
I don't. I mean, I kind of do on my iPad actually. So I could, if I really have to, I can switch over to my iPad.
Okay, good.
It's not the
Yeah.
best software, but it does the job. So it's just a
What
bit
do you
scary.
use? I'm like, because I feel like I'm gonna have to try that. I've got like Dragon, but I've not tried it yet, so
It's
I might give
whatever
that a
the
go.
inbuilt thing is on the iPad. Like I
Oh,
just
is there
love
something?
it. Yeah, like the Word, whatever Word is, if you have Word on iPad, it just
I need to check.
works, and it will read things back to you as well. You can get like the AI voice to read back your work to you, which I use for kind of trying to find mistakes and things when I'm feeling
Actually,
terrible.
that's handy. I'm gonna explore that. That might be useful. Okay, cool.
That sounds like a very good tip. I've never really tried that before. I hate recording myself too. I occasionally record voice notes. You know, if I'm driving or something, I'm like, story idea, quick. And then I go to listen to it back later and I'm like, oh, not only do I not understand, but I hate listening to myself. So,
Isn't that like a biological thing that you're biologically programmed to hate your own voice?
Maybe.
Something?
I don't know.
I
It
can't
just
remember.
sounds so weird. And I always like get that paranoia of, is that what I sound like? Like, do I sound that
Me
kind of
too.
shrill and irritating?
Ugh.
Or, yeah, the joys.
I feel
Anyway,
like I sound slow.
you sound lovely. Both of you do. I mean, Rosie in particular is
You do.
like in TikTok 20
Yeah,
times.
you need to be doing audiobooks.
Wow,
Like,
I scrolled
I
my
can't do
TikTok.
audiobooks
It's
though,
Rosie.
because I
It's
just
Rosie.
have one voice, and that's this one. Like I can't,
Yeah.
you know when you listen to audiobooks and narrators do the most amazing voices for each character,
Yeah.
and it's so engaging. Every single audiobook I would read would just be this. Every character would
I'd
sound
listen.
the same.
I'd
And,
listen.
you know, I think maybe I could read audiobooks for like sleep. You know, I'm just like, okay, you're
Yes.
just gonna go to sleep
Those
right
sleep
now,
stories.
and you just want a slightly posh English voice to read you to sleep. I can do that. But
Yeah,
I'd listen. Yeah.
if
I
you
would
just want
too.
Emma Watson to read you to sleep,
Sold.
Oh, beautiful. So, what are we doing, all of us in our kind of slightly ill states? I'm writing Mina 3. I feel so pleased that I can actually say now. For a while, I've been saying, I'm writing a thing that I don't think I can talk about yet. So, I'm writing Mina 3, being really careful not to say the title of it because I'm going to announce that on the 1st of April. It's 2 years since Mina 1 came out. My first baby.
That's madness.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
It feels like 2 minutes and also 10 years ago that it came out. A bit like Nathan
It's a
being
weird
born,
dichotomy.
actually. My little boy is just 3. And I was like, it feels like he's been there forever, but also 2 minutes since he was this big. And now he's like this big. So, yeah, I did it almost the same time, like toddler and book babies. Like, you know, I like
That's
to do
amazing.
things full on.
Kudos.
I know. So I'm planning to write Mina 3. I've got to the messy middle. Do you two, this sounds really gross, but do you two have messy middles where you get to the middle and go, oh no, I know how this started. I know how it's going to end. But what happens in the middle? How do I build the tension? Like, what am I going to do to these people and creatures?
I have it even when I have an outline. Even when I have a chapter by chapter, I still somehow end up terrified by the middle. Don't know why.
I can't write chapter outlines. I wrote a really detailed outline for the beginning and I was so pleased myself, but I don't want to spoil anything, but the beginning's quite self-contained of this book, and then the rest just goes into more of a normal Mina plot. It's the normal bit that I'm struggling with. I'm like, how do I cope with this slightly strange? But yeah, the normal bit. I'm like, I know what the things are that need to happen, but I don't know the order of them, or you know,
that's been my problem.
Yeah.
Like, I know what information I need to get in here. I know what clues I need to seed in here. But the how and the who and the exact where, I mean, the world is my oyster and it's too generous. Like, I could do anything and this is worrying me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of,
And it's the book 2 thing that you're constrained by the things that you did in 1. So you can't repeat the same things. It's got to be consistent with those things. And I don't know about you, Rosie, and you, Dawn, obviously you're in this position too, where you're like, oh, I did that in book 1. So that whole storyline I could have done, I've just written myself out of. That can't happen.
Yeah, also world consistency. I'm like, I have the coolest of
Yes.
cool ideas that I can't do because it literally contradicts my world building.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rules. Yeah, like the
rules.
laws of, yeah. That's exactly where I'm at with Teeth 2. Because, and I'd started writing this, thought it was absolutely fabulous. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to read the end of Teeth again, just to make sure. And I caught one tiny detail that makes it impossible for me to do that thing. So that's fun.
I'm trying to reread mine as well.
It's in print. It's in print. You can't just go back and like sneakily change it because it's been printed. You're like, oh.
And people will tell you too, they will notice the little details, like the things that you think people don't fixate on. Sometimes I get messages about stuff, and I think you noticed that. I don't even remember that. That's awesome.
No, so this isn't a secret anymore, so I can't, although we've not officially announced it, people are noticing. But the 16 Souls is coming out in America, and we've been working on copy edits and just edits to kind of shift things over a bit into American language and to kind of, you know, some things like, and my US editor has caught a stray character. Nobody else has noticed this. No other editors, not even me. A character has a line in a scene that he's not in. And he just says it. And you know what? We've decided to leave it in because nobody else has noticed, and it's kind of funny.
I have to go searching now.
I just did it, and I was like, and I was in the shower this morning. I was like, how did I do that? But then now in book 2, I have so many characters. If I have my little like found family from book 1, and I just have the basics of the people who are going to be in the scene that have come from book 1 that want to be involved, that's 7 people. That's 7 people. And then I have like new stuff happening, and I'm like, oh, I need to keep, and I'm like, who is in the scene? So I'm really tempted. So I have, you know, the York ghost merchants.
Yeah.
I now just about have enough York ghosts that I'm allocating one to each character, and they sit on the table in front of me, and I'm like,
that's such a good idea.
In the scene, and I have a few ghost candles that if I've got extras, I can use a ghost candle. So I can remind myself of who's in a scene and who needs dialogue and who has input. But it's
that's so clever.
It's really making it a challenge, and I think in edits I'm going to have to come up with clever errands for these people to do so I can slim some of my scenes down, because there's just so many people. It's exhausting. It's fun.
Can you imagine George R.R. Martin with like thousands of characters?
I just want to imagine him surrounded by tiny little models of all of his characters, where he like has to maneuver them like a chess set. Like, I need to know who's in this scene, and him just with like tiny little Dothraki army, just like all these guys. Right.
I feel like he probably has a scale model of like, is it called the 7 Kingdoms? His like all of. I know it said Middle Earth. I was like, wrong fantasy world.
Oh, you'd be such.
I know. I can just imagine him having a room that he goes into, and he's like, okay, so we're doing the bit with the Starks, like Winterfell. God, it's so long since I've done anything. I've forgotten all the Game of Thrones lore. Like, it's not coming naturally to me at all.
Have you seen the people on YouTube who did the Game of Thrones? But like, oh, did they do it with a kazoo or something? But they did they did the opening scene in their own animation, where I think it just might be them behind the scenes going do 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 do, and it's actually beautifully done. Like, it's really, really good.
I haven't.
And
send a link. I want to see that.
It's really
I have to see that.
Okay, so Rosie, you and I are stumbling through our sequels tonight.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Dawn? Are you writing or reading?
Both. I'm going to read through the short story to make sure everything's okay. I finished it yesterday.
Yay.
Yes, finally. And barring any major glaring plot holes, I'll then go on to Teeth 2. I nearly said the name. Teeth 2. Yeah. So yeah, we'll all be doing sequel work.
Oh gosh, so we can commiserate in the next one. We can talk about all the things we did to ourselves, deciding to write sequels.
Exactly.
Okay, good. We can do this. I'm going to go to the comments, and then I think we need to go to a sprint. So let's see who we've got today. Hi, Nicole. Ooh, oh, is that one of the? Oh gosh, I don't know the name of that series. Yeah, the Space Becky Chambers books. Help me, anybody else? Have you read those, Rosie? I feel like you have.
I have read at least the first one, maybe the first 2. The first one is called A Very Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I think the series is known as the Wayfarer series.
Yes, that sounds right. Oh, cool. Yeah, I totally. It's one of those series that I keep thinking, oh, I'll pick that up, and then more and more books just come out. I'm like, I can't keep up with it.
I know. Have you seen Bookmail Mountain? Do you want to see Bookmail? It's right there. Hold on.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive,
Amazing.
Rosie.
Mountain, and it's down there as well.
I don't know how you don't just open them. I open them the second they arrive. I've got a shelf upstairs because I do like a monthly haul, and it normally ends up going over about 2 shelves. But I have to open them when they arrive. I don't know how you do it.
I think it's because I wanna make sure I do a TikTok for each one, and I give each one like proper attention. But then I can't literally just make every single TikTok I do an unboxing.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of, you know, and then I get more mail than I can actually handle. And and then I've been using it as a reward for my writing. So if I get a certain amount of writing done, I get to open something. And really,
but what if some of them are like blurb requests and they are like,
you see,
can you blurb this in 3 months?
I ask anything that's on a time deadline, like a blurb request, I ask them to write urgent on it, so I know exactly what it is, so I will open it earlier. And I don't. I've chosen not to monetize my TikTok, so I don't do any kind of collaborative work where I'm paid, where I have a certain like contract or a deadline. I just say to people, if you want to send me a book, great. At some point I will open it, but I can't make any promises for when that will be or how it will be. And it, you know, people know that I'm chaos, and it just somehow works out. But it's, yes, I know that there are books in there that I'm so excited for, and I also know that like if I open it, I have to finish this book, so I'm just gonna.
Just don't think about
the reward system.
Yeah,
it is entirely my reward system. Yeah.
Yay, well, we all obviously need it, so thank you. I'm glad it's helping you as well, Caroline, to get some reading done. Oh, I haven't ventured into Paul Tremblay just because I'm scared that people keep saying you should read it, but it's really sad. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I can't cope with really sad. So I think, is it The Cabin at the End of the World? But is it fun and too sad for me? Can I cope with it, Dawn? That's the question.
Yeah, I think you being a mum, maybe.
It's so hard. I mean, I was sent a sensitive sap beforehand. It's made me even more so, and like ruined whole books. Like Pet Sematary, can't go near it. Anything with children. Like, I'm reading a book. Yeah, it's so scary. And I'm reading a book with sort of a child abduction that's very distant to the plot, but it's still really upsetting me. And I'm like, I need to push through because I want to read this book, but it's kind of ruining it for me at the same time. Ooh, an uninvited guest sounds interesting. I want to guess adult thriller. Does that sound like an adult thriller to you?
Does, yeah. I'm going to Google it.
I always get this wrong, and then people are like, no, it's a middle grade romance. I'm like, okay. If that's even a thing, I don't know whether it is. Excellent. Excuse me. I'm glad we can help you be productive. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry everybody's suffering. It seems there's just so many obstacles, aren't there, to getting everything done that we need to. Excellent. I'm sorry, I can deal with that joke. I should mute myself, but I also need to talk. I still don't have any of them. I really want my own little ghostie.
Oh,
I think I'm afraid I'm going to have to
either
because I'm like mid-coughing fit. So I think that we should probably go to a sprint. I'm going croaky. This is going so well, isn't it? Sorry. I'm going to mute myself while I just go and sort the kitty out, have a little cough, and then I will put the sprint.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, I need to get a ghost merchant.
You do. I made one of them a ruff in lockdown.
Oh,
like this cute little ruff. So I need to get more costumes for them.
Oh, cute. Okay, I'm back. I'm not coughing temporarily, but I think I need to do it again. So we will see you in 40 minutes.
See you then.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that sprint.
Hello.
And did a little more than I did. I have a very small person sitting beside me, off camera, playing on his iPad with his daddy. So that's how my sprint went. I wrote very little. I realised I need to do some more plotting. So I think for the next few days, I'm going to go back to the kind of plot drawing board, because I think pushing ahead when I don't know what is happening at this bit is probably not the best idea. So I kind of realised I need to do some more work, but I think that's a good thing. So how about you, Dawn? Did you get anywhere?
I did. I've read and edited 11 pages out of I don't know how many. And I'm enjoying it. So I think it's okay. At the very least, it's okay. It's not terrible. This is the second short story I wrote. The first one just didn't work at all. And I was very panicked about it for a while, but I think this is okay. We'll see.
I think as much okay is kind of as much as you can hope from a first draft, and when you're reading your own writing, because that self-critic is so powerful, isn't it? That if you're reading something you're like, actually, I think this is quite good, then that's probably the best it's ever going to be. I don't know about you, but that's my feeling. It's like, oh, this is decent. Like, hopefully translates to really good for other people.
Also, short form isn't. I'm not used to short form, so this was a whole new learning curve for me. So I like it, I think, but it just took me a lot longer than I expected.
I've never written a short story until last year. I wrote one that ended up in that Lurking in the Dark anthology, and I think I'd written bits in the past, like as a teenager and stuff, but not like as an adult. So I actually tried to write something really good, and I found it really fun actually, and maybe a bit easier than I expected. But it's because I can't keep plot in my head, so big books are hard for me because I can't remember what happened in them. So yeah, how about you, Rosie? Did you have a good sprint?
But I did actually. So I'm basically I like to write my chapters in lots of different documents, because then if I need to jump between them, I can do that. I don't use Scrivener, I just use Word, like really basic.
Rosie, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, so I have a little like folder with all of the chapters in order, like numbered, and I can jump between them. But I need to send this draft off, so I'm taking each of my chapters and I'm having a read through, and I'm kind of trying to, find any gaps and plug any holes. So I'm sort of rewriting one of the chapters, which was very bitty. You know when you're writing along and you see scenes in your head and they're like, yes, and there's always that, every now and again you'll get that interim chapter of like, I know a lot of stuff has to happen here, but it's less of a clear scene in my head, so I'm just going to skip it and write down what I think. So it's one of those where I really need to kind of go back and give it a bit more form and decide if the information that's being revealed is the right place, and add in a whole other scene in that chapter, which probably will make it be too long. But again, first draft, it doesn't matter. I just want to get it down. So
it is, and I think sometimes that little voice tells you to not write it because you don't know what's going to happen. But actually, you sometimes, like if the deadline's coming, you just need to do it, don't you? And know that
write something.
That's the scene that is you're gonna come back to, and might be a headache in future, but it's a future headache. So yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'd rather write it and have to cut it than not write it and need it and have to write it later. So yeah, I'm playing with that and trying to remember who's in my scene. There's so many people having a discussion.
Yeah, I found that really difficult in the second one, because I did a similar thing to you. Had like the close-knit group in the first book, and then added some more people because you need extra suspects and you need extra friendship dynamics and stuff. And so now the third one, I'm like, oh, well, I killed some of them, so that was handy. I recommend that for a second book. Kill some of them, and then you don't need to put them in the third one. But then because I killed some, I'm like, I need to introduce some more people because those ones are dead now. So I need more suspects, friends, villains. This is why I can only write 3 books in the series. It might do me in if I have to write any more. Too much pressure, too much stress.
I wish that I'd properly planned this series as a duology, and then it would have been easier. I mean, I had an open mind. I was like, oh yeah, I think that this would be what I would do if I get to do a book 2. And then I've sort of done that, but I've also gone completely, all of the things I've like seeded into book 1 for potential sequel absolutely work with what I'm doing, but then it's completely developed into its own thing and it's not what I thought it was going to be. So yeah, that's hard. But I'm not commissioned for a book 3, so I can just keep it as 2 and yeah, but I can still kill off as many people as I like. So fun time.
You'll be so satisfied when it sort of works and it's done and it's this thing outside of you. Yeah.
I worry that I'm never going to feel as confident about it as I was with book one. Like, I think with book one, I had so much time with it. I just got to the point where I was like, I really believe in this, and I'm really like, I just even if no one else likes it, I love it as it is, and that felt right. Whereas I'm worried that I won't have enough time to sit with this one, you know, because those deadlines are a bit shorter. But I do love it. Like I'm having a lot of fun, even when I'm tired and stressed. Like, it's usually George Villiers as a character will just say something really stupid. I've got this whole folder of stuff that George has said, which is not actually plot. It doesn't do anything. I can't keep it in. There's not space for it, but it's just a folder called Stuff George has said, in case I do a little spin-off short story or something, because he's so noisy.
It's good to know your character so well, isn't it? The amount that is off the page is useful, because even the things that you don't use will be kind of informing what you do, I'm sure. So, and yeah, maybe you can just let that out into the world at some point. You can let us read it, because I think we all want to.
Newsletter fodder.
Oh yeah, awesome. I need to do one of those at some point. I can't do any more things. I'm trying not to add any more things to my list. I keep doing that. Like, I'm going to start a book club. I'm going to start a TikTok. Like, yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go through the comments. Oh, there's a little coffer next to me. I might have to deal with a little coffer and then put him to bed in the next sprint. So that'll be my next sprint taken care of. Yes, I mean, we would all listen to audiobooks, and Rosie does sound like Emma Watson. All agreed. Yes, I need one. I'm so jealous. And yeah, you were right. Wayfarer series, Rosie.
I got it right.
Oh, the Monk and Robot. Somebody else was talking to me about these. So I don't know whether they are at all connected to the Wayfarer ones or not, but I've heard that they are quite sweet, nice, gentle books, the Monk and Robot ones. And I just love the fact a Monk and a Robot.
They're supposed to be really cozy. I actually have both of them. Haven't read them yet. I'm saving them for when I need cozy emotional support.
I've just bought
Rosie
for that purpose.
See, I want to read that, but my question to TikTok, and I'm going to ask you, Rosie, because you know books really well, is there a cozy genre for like survival books? You know, people planting their gardens, foraging for mushrooms, taking care of their animals, but like the world has ended? Because that's what I want. I want a cozy, post-apocalyptic survival book.
I think Monk and Robot might have touches of, like, I haven't read it, and maybe people can correct me in the comments if they have. But I think I think they might be like, they're quite isolated. I don't know whether it's actually like post-apocalyptic yet. But you know, I was thinking that as well. Like, what I loved about Legends and Lattes is like, not really that much happens, but loads of stuff somehow happens, and you're just so interested about, are they going to invent cinnamon buns in time? Like, are they going to get air conditioning in the restaurant because it's really warm, and you're like, oh no, and then like really real life problems, and then there's this nice little like magical thread that's a slightly bigger thing that goes through. But sometimes you do just want to read where you're reading about a character succeeding in surprising circumstances, and like, yeah, I too. I want to read one about like a medieval castle where they have to like defend it against something, but it's not really about like the siege or the battle. It's about all the domestic stuff inside where they're like, well, people put it down, make a pie.
I have that idea in my head. I have one of those for you, but I've not written it yet.
Can you write it, please? Because I do just forget.
In the next 4 to 5 years.
Series. I'll take whatever you've got. Like, I just want to read. I think. Did anyone ever read the Redwall books?
Do you know what? I didn't, but I know of them. Yeah.
I pretend that I've read them. I haven't. I've read the opening few chapters where before the adventure begins, they're in the monastery and they like hang out and eat like massive amounts of trout. I don't know. And they have all banquets and it's all very domestic. And then the main character will go off on an epic adventure and fight stuff. And I skip that bit. And I go back to the end where they will all be reunited and have another party. And I realize I just want books about like little mice in habits having parties.
It's like the book equivalent of a Renaissance fair. You know what I mean? Like role playing or something. I like that.
There's a middle grade. I feel like there's a middle grade LARPing book coming out. Is it by Marie Basting, who wrote Princess DMS? BMX. I can't speak. I'm too tired. I'm going to go to the comments before I start just throwing out random syllables at you. Hi, Stephen. Thank you for joining us. Oh, it was an adult thriller. I was actually correct from the title. I like a closed circle mystery. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that I now can't read or do, but I don't regret it for a second. Oh, cool. Well done. I have not heard of that, but I like the title. Hi. Excellent. Isaac and the Egg has come up a few times.
I've heard a lot about that.
I still don't know what it is. Lizzie, tell me what it is. Because I feel like it's...
Is
I
it
think
like
that might be
literary?
Yeah, that was one of the ones where I think I thought it was like a cute middle grade and somebody was like, no, serious adult literary book.
Yeah.
I just want a cute little egg that like follows Isaac around and like his feet have hatched, but nothing else or something like that. Okay, I mean, yeah. I think that that's productive though, actually, to find some good Kindle Unlimited books.
It's such a shame you can only have 20.
Yeah, I don't have it. Maybe I do need to get it.
You can find some real gems on Kindle Unlimited as well. Like when you get into a series on there, or when you find something you're like, yeah, I really like this.
Oh, the temptation! I've got too many subscriptions. Hello. Ah, that sounds fun. I put reading and manage together and made massaging. I was like, sorry, what? This is what you're doing with Lizzie? Yeah. Sorry, Lizzie.
To see what your mind is.
No, but wouldn't that be so good to like just read and somebody's giving you a massage though?
Yeah, that's what. Sorry. If you're eating
that sounds so good.
We need a spa day, clearly.
I really do. I haven't had a massage for, I think,
we should book one, like a
4
group spa day to celebrate finishing our sequels.
Can that be the next writing retreat where we don't actually write and we just go to a spa? Yeah. George Villiers is.
Ah, thank you. He's fun.
Okay, I mean, so there's an actual egg and not a like metaphorical egg. So that's
there isn't it? Okay. I wonder what's in the egg.
Yeah, I'm hoping Lizzie can update us. Read fast, Lizzie, and tell us in the sprints, after sprints even, what.
Every time I think about eggs, has anybody read that short story? It was viral a few years ago by the guy who wrote The Martian, and it's.
No.
I think it might just be called The Egg, and it's like why somebody has not founded a cult on this short story. I don't know. It's literally a page of basic dialogue between a soul that has just died in a car crash and the deity, a deity that's supposed to be God, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and people have like done little animations of it and stuff that you can find on YouTube. It's like a 3-minute watch, and I watched it and I was like, I think I broke myself, and I think I want this to be a little bit real, but also not real. But if it was real, we would all treat each other really, really well, and it could be a fantastic basis for a religion.
Interesting.
Well, I'm just looking it up because I want to read that.
Is it Andy Weir?
Do you have the link for the Andy Weir? Do you have the link for the YouTube?
I liked who is it? Are they that German company that has the like little animated ducks? And they
I don't know who that is, but it sounds very cute.
And they do all kinds of informative videos, and they're like little animation. Kunstgast or Kunst something. I'm really unhelpful. I'm sorry. Hold on, let me look this up. I realize I'm sitting in front of a computer that has knowledge.
And just trying to speak German to us. Well, while you're looking that up, I am going to put us on the next sprint because I want to put a little person to bed because he looks very tired now. So I hope you all have a productive sprint and that this one goes to sleep quickly so I can too. So we will do another 40 minutes. I think I'm going to try and do 30 at the end, although my brain already feels slightly frazzled. That 30 minutes may just be me laying here like that. So don't worry if it looks like I'm dead. Hopefully I'm not. So yeah, this one will hopefully be a productive one. We'll do 40 minutes and we will see on the other side. And maybe Rosie can tell us then about her little cute duck story.
Okay, I found it.
Okay.
It's like the top one that comes up when you search The Egg, Andy Weir. It's by Kurzges. Okay, I can't say it. Or In a Nutshell, I think is how it translates.
Okay, cool.
The channel. In a Nutshell. It's got 28 million views from 3 years ago, so it's been around.
I'd like to write a short story that gets 8 million views.
I know,
Nearly missed the
right?
8, but the 8's important.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the sprint and we will see you on the side.
That scared me.
Hello, sorry, I had a slight drink spill just as I came to open my doorway. So Kev's there around my feet, like trying to sort that out. So, you know, like you said, Rosie, just chaos, the usual sort.
The little cat timer. I've got a haddock sitting on the end of the bed. She arrived, and that little cat timer went off, and she sat up. She was like, "What? There's another cat in here."
Sorry about the cat. It's just become my habit now. Like, I know it's annoying and makes me
Yeah,
jump
it's
every
cute.
time. But
She's just
not when you're a cat, though.
and glowered at me, and she's turned around, so I'm dismissed.
Toddler went to bed. I keep calling toddler, he's a child now, I suppose. My child went to bed. So I did do a little bit of writing, but plotting is definitely imminent. I need to finish the scene that I'm on and then figure out what all of the next ones are for the rest of the book. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna write. I don't normally write in the last sprint, but I want to finish the scene because then I can move on to plotting tomorrow. So I'm kind of okay with it. I think the situation I'm in. But how about you, Rosie? Did you have a good sprint?
Yeah, I did. I just kept going on that scene and realized that I need, at the end of one scene in that chapter, they're like, "Oh, we could wait for this person and find out this information, or we could just like go to this other place and get some other information." And like the team divides, so some people wait and some people go. And then I was like, I've gotten to this location, and I was like, cool. It's a Sunday. This place is closed.
Oh,
So either I have to somehow write it in the chapter that they come back in the morning, but then that means they just go back to the other place, so that doesn't work. So I now need them to basically find a way to break into this place without getting caught. I don't even know. So I just kind of sat here for 5 minutes being like, oh, crap.
It's impressive that you realise that, though. At draft 1 point, it's usually a lot further down the line where I figure out stuff like that. Like, what I do in the Mina books is write nights that never end. So they go for a night out and then go and do some vampire hunting, and then something else shady happens. I'm like, oh, that night just lasted 30 hours. And I don't realise that until much later. So you've done well that you've kind of spotted the whole now. And breaking sounds interesting. Like, I don't know, you have ghosts at your disposal, right? Who can... Your ghosts can move through stuff, can't they? So
they can, but they can't open things. Like, they can't touch things. So they're very useful for spying, and they're very useful for like getting keypad numbers if they can watch somebody get through and things like that. But they can't actually lift anything or move anything.
Yes, they couldn't go through a door and then open it for you from the other side or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's part of the York University campus. So even if it's closed on a Sunday, I'm wondering if I can have like a lecturer or a researcher who's like doing something, who can, you know, give them access to the building and they can like lie to them or something. I'll work it out. I mean, essentially, they are there to sort of see a ghost. So, but I do want to make it really easy with the ghost just like comes outside and is like, "What do you want?" Because where's the fun in that? So I will, yeah.
That sounds very Scooby-Doo. I like that.
Find a way to get them in and get the information.
Well, sort of productive, but also annoying when you find a plot hole you have to fill.
Yeah, it just means, I mean, the amount of breaking and entering that they're doing in this book, it's just, I'm a little bit worried it's going to be too repetitive, but I think I might just have to turn it into a bit of a joke. I already have like a little bit where one of the characters is like, I'm going to limit you to 1 break-in a week. And they're like, oh no, come on, that's not fair. Where's the fun in that? So I might just have to lean into that quite heavily because, yeah, they're doing a lot of illegal activities.
I reckon that'll all come out in the edits. You'll get them to the places they need to be in this draft, and then you'll figure out how they need to get there maybe in the future ones.
I like the idea of self-consciously leaning into it. It's funny.
Yeah. It's like, we can come back on Monday. Nope, we can break in now.
Yeah, why not?
I think that sounds fun. How about you, Dawn? How did you have a good sprint?
I did. I lost internet connection for a little bit, so I spent a bit of time fixing that. And then I got to page 23, and those pages were less good. So I definitely need to do some work on those. but I think I'm gonna have to call it because I'm just knackered.
That
So I'm
is
like, leave you,
completely
lovely
understandable.
ladies. Yeah.
Well, I surprisingly have another half an hour in me, which I don't normally at this time, but I'm like, I just really want to finish the scene and it's pushing me onwards. So I'm going to keep going rather than flopping like I normally do at this point. But thank you, Dawn. As usual, I've really enjoyed your presence and
It was
found you
good to do it on a
motivating.
Sunday.
Yeah.
It's shaking things up. But good luck, you guys. Have fun, and I'll join
Thank
again at another
you.
one, I'm sure.
Night, Dawn.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye. And then there were two. This
then there
feels
were
a bit like a potential murder mystery, Rosie. Like, could we get like 10 of us at some point and like one goes one at a time? Like, hang on, no, don't come any closer. Camera goes off.
I
Oh,
think
quite
it would
fun.
be really fun to write a murder mystery from multiple points of view, each point of view written by a different author who've all worked together to like that. I mean, it'd be chaos, but it'd be great fun.
Yeah, Kat Ellis was talking in one of these about there's a film where it's a Zoom meeting and murdery things start happening. So it's like during COVID and all these people are on screen and then stuff starts happening in some of the rooms. And it's all in this kind of realistic Zoom format, which I still need to watch it actually because Kat's made it sound brilliant.
That does sound brilliant. I love anything like that. Is like my jam. Anything scary.
Yeah, and anything that just like pushes the boundaries of things. Like I'm reading a short story anthology at the minute called Found, which is all like linked to found footage, and that's fun. Like some of the stories are kind of darker than I'd normally go for, but I'm enjoying what they're doing with just this premise of found footage, and some in particular are so good that it's making it worth like reading the whole book for that.
Ooh, I'm gonna write that down. I'm really getting into short story anthologies at the moment. I mean, I always like to read a few of them, but yeah, I think it's one of my favorite ways to read horror.
I think there's so much variety, and I'm so polarized with horror that I can really, really detest it. If it taps into one of my things that makes me really uncomfortable, I just can't face it. And the good thing with an anthology is if you reach that point of discomfort that you can't cope with, if you're me, then you can kind of skim read that story and then go on to one, and you've like got a fresh chance, haven't you, with every chapter to find something that you love in it.
Yeah, I thought I was pretty like unflappable. Like I've read some stories that I actually kind of regret reading because they went places that I literally could not even voice out loud where they went, and I don't understand how they were published kinds of levels of depravity where I was just like, what? But I'm reading, making my way through Screams in the Dark, and there's one story in there which it's very well written, and the whole collection is essentially about monsters, different kinds of monsters. Like that's what's inspiring all these different stories. And this particular story, the monster is the narrator, and he's a doctor in America. It's a historical setting, and he is doctor to a community of Black enslaved people on a plantation, as well as like the wealthy white women of the community. And I had to stop reading it because it's just, even though it's so well written, this person is so horrific in just their views and it's just, and I just realized that kind of medical stuff with the gaslighting I was like, actually no, that's weirdly triggering and I can't read that, so I give up on that. But it is very well written, but I had to kind of skip to one about a guy who eats people. It was easier.
I feel like that is easier because it feels that little bit removed. I think if it is pushing into something where you just don't want to be in the headspace of that person, like
yeah, and it's like this person could easily have existed. This person has existed.
Yeah.
Like, this doctor has existed again and again and again and actually hurt people again and again and again. And like taken away people's liberties and had that genuine feeling or thoughts about people. And it was that realness of it which just makes it so affecting and terrifying, but also why I couldn't read it. It's like, oh god, no.
I completely agree with you. I keep seeing, because I know you mentioned it odd times because you've been reading it for a while, haven't you, the anthology? And every time you mention it, I'm like, I want to read it, but then I also don't because you say things like that, and I'm like, I don't know if it's too dark for me.
There are some really great stories in, like Richard Kadri's got a story in that. I don't know if you've read the Sandman Slim series. You read that one? It's like urban fantasy. I'm working my way through the series because there's like 10 zillion of them.
Okay.
And they're really good. It's about this guy who's sort of a wizard kind of character, and his friends betray him and they cast him into hell for like 8 years. And he's the only living person in hell, and to survive, he has to become as bad as the demons. And then he breaks his way out, and he's hellbent on revenge. And the demons have given him the nickname Sandman Slim, and they're like scared of him.
That sounds really cool.
It's chaos. The whole thing is chaos, and it's very much slightly taking the piss out of the genre as well. It's quite very self-aware. So it's kind of funny as well. It's completely ridiculous. And he's got a short story in that, and I was like, this is brilliant. It's completely ridiculous, but it's brilliant. So it's worth picking up. Some of them are very dark though, but some of them I think you'd really like.
Yeah, maybe it's that thing that I'm gonna have to accept that I'm not gonna read all these stories, or I do sometimes. I like to read them, but skim read them if they're things like that. Like if I can't cope and I'm too uncomfortable, I'd probably just very quickly let my eyes go over the page and then move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe not that one that you said though, because that doesn't.
Yeah, I would. I mean, you could try reading it, but I think you will probably get to a point where it's just like too painful.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like my thing, like even a little bit. I understand why people want to read it and want to kind of. Some people, I think, enjoy pushing themselves into that really dark side of humanity, but I don't know. Maybe it's our type of brain, that kind of the creative brain that can go there and like almost go too far with that character.
Yeah. I just find anything with like women being detained in asylums or medical situations where men, specifically white middle class, like upper middle class men, are dominating them and gaslighting them. I just find that really difficult to read, and it's in quite a lot of historical fantasy and historical gothic TV shows. We'll probably have a moment where some psychic medium has been stuck in an asylum for a while, and I find that really hard for some reason. That's just something that really gets to me.
It does me too, and I always think that it's not necessary. Like, I know that people say, like, George R. R. Martin's taken stick for it and said, oh, but I'm trying to be, authentic to the time period. It's like, you made up the time period. That isn't a period in history. I think that's what annoys me, that you could, I don't know, I think that some of the things that are contained in certain books just aren't necessary, and that to hide behind it's historical when it's a fantasy world is annoying.
Yeah, it's like there are quite a few fantasy books that, like, I think if you're going to take it as a theme and really dissect it and like cleverly dissect it, and like one of the themes of the book is dealing with whatever it might be, then yeah, like absolutely. But if you're building a fantasy world from scratch, you get to choose what's in it. So I think when I'm reading a fantasy and I will randomly come up against like misogyny, particularly in a world where like maybe it's not anywhere else, like it's not built into every layer of society, but like you'll randomly find it in one place, and it's usually, I've noticed, like connected to marriage in the domestic sphere or sex in some way, like where, and often that's used as a plot point of like, oh, this person has to escape an arranged marriage they don't want or something. It's like, so it just kind of, I'm just like, okay, but then it has to make sense on every level of society, and it doesn't always.
It can come across as gratuitous and can come across as it's meant to be sexy, and I really hate that too. I really hate that if it's like in Game of Thrones, where the first time you see Daenerys and she's naked and you're like, I don't know.
Is that in the show? I've only seen I've read the first like 4 chapters of the first book, and I've seen little bits of the show, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, there are reasons sometimes to include it, but more often than not, I am not a fan. But yeah, I remember that Samantha Shannon said that when she was constructing the World of the Bone season, she was really mindful of that, and she was annoyed with herself that any character in authority, she didn't want to just assume that they would be male, and she said all the time she was just like patriarchal values, like we're kind of saying to her, oh, this teacher must be a man, this doctor, and she was like actively trying to not do that.
One day I'll be brave enough to write a full-on epic fantasy. At the moment, I'm like sitting in contemporary fantasy where I've got my structure that I'm working with.
Yeah, I don't read enough high fantasy, I don't think, to write one, although I have got one that I accidentally wrote years ago and didn't realise until I was halfway through. I was like, I'm writing high fantasy, like what is this? And I do like it. I think I'll come back to that at some point. It's, those books that you wrote in the past. I mean, I know you haven't written like full books necessarily, but like ideas you've had where you're like, this one wasn't good enough and discard. Like that one I feel like still kind of haunts me, and I'm like, I do need to come back to this at some point.
Maybe you can come back to it. I've only ever written one other book, which sounds ridiculous, but I love it, and it needs a lot of work, I think, to be ready, because it's sitting it is contemporary fantasy, but it's kind of epic in scope. So I really need to think about it as a series and how many books I would do, and like plan it as a whole series before I kind of commit to it. And at the moment it's sitting somewhere between YA and adult. Just some of the characters are kind of older teens, some of the characters are in their 20s. So I have to kind of decide, do I want to write it as a YA or do I want to write it as an adult? And I think aging it up is probably the direction I'll go in. So that's on my sort of longer term writing plan.
It's cool to have one of those, to know what your future things are going to be. I didn't used to have that. I used to have like Mina and then what the heck am I going to write next? But it has started for me like thinking about my trajectory, and it's quite exciting. But it's getting late, so let's see what the people in the comments are saying. There are a few to catch up on, and then I think we should do a last sprint. Is that one of the monk and robot ones?
Yes.
I think. That sounds
it is.
Really cute.
I think that's the first one. Oh, it's being draped in a warm blanket and handed in a nice one. That is exactly what I need. I really can't start reading another book because I've already got like 5 on the go. But I really want to start it now.
Keep it as a reward when you send your draft in. Maybe that could be your little like cozy book at the end of it.
I like the sound of that.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Yes, I imagine it is, Sharon. I don't know whether we've already missed you, but if we haven't.
Oh, bye, Sharon. If we haven't already missed you.
Rosie, I'm going to no, I'll let you. What's the name of the book?
Hold on.
I don't. I'm downstairs, so I can't.
Reaching. It is that one.
There it is.
It's got 16 souls.
I
wrote it with my brain.
It's Heartstopper with ghosts. It's Gothic York.
Oh, look, I've actually got a copy of Even Closer. There we go. That's the one with the gold.
Yeah. I love it. I'm the same. Like, I've got so many copies that I could never sell of Mina and the Undead knocking around that I've annotated or put stickies in and stuff. I should have done it to one.
Yeah. That's useful because when you're writing a sequel, you got to check everything all the time. You would keep going back and making sure things are. Yeah, and also just like voice. Like I keep being like, what does Charlie's voice sound like again? Like, how do I speak like him? Because it's all first person present tense. So yeah, how do I and I quite often I'll write a descriptive passage. I'm like, oh, I love that. I love this language. And then I'm like, but Charlie is a 16-year-old boy, like 17 now. He's had a birthday, but like he just wouldn't use that vocabulary. So I need to cut that out.
Oh, heartbreaking. My agent always says to me, like, the nicest written bits that I've written, the ones that she knows she's going to have to tell me to cut. I'm like, yeah. I had this whole extended metaphor, Mina one, and I knew as I was writing it that she was going to say cut it and that she'd be right, and I wrote it anyway. Like,
you get it, and you just like, I just want to show that I can write like this, and I'll cut it out later because realistically, like, I'll like describe a building beautifully, and Charlie honestly would look at it and be like, "Yes, all right, innit?"
Yeah, it's big.
It's big. It's proper old.
Yeah, proper old, isn't it? It does. It is amazing. So you do need to pick it up.
I'm very fond of it.
Me too. And I was just thinking, actually, as we were talking earlier, that I read it a really long time ago now. Like, when I come to read the sequel, it's going to be... Because I read, like, even before it was approved, I think. Like, the really, really early...
I was going to say, you read it a very long time ago. You read it... Yeah. Oh, gosh.
I can't even remember. Like, early last year, was it?
You probably read it, like, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to reread book 1 when I read the sequel. That's the plan.
I mean, there obviously are references to the events in book 1 because they are dealing with the fallout. But the mystery of book 2 is not necessarily, like, you don't necessarily have had to read book 1 to, like, follow the mystery in book 2. It's like a separate thing that's happening.
Okay.
But cool, obviously the world building takes place over the 2 books. So yeah.
Excellent. I'm excited to read it. No pressure to write it or anything, Rosie, but I do want to read it soon, please.
Well, I'm working on finishing it.
Okay, let's go to last sprint, and I'm going to make this one 30 minutes as I usually do because I can feel the concentration slightly slipping.
Okay.
So Rosie and I will see you on the other side. Happy to
see you in 30 minutes.
Bye. Hello, welcome back. Hope the kitty didn't cause any catastrophes at your end, Rosie. Was everybody okay?
Yeah, it was fine. Haddock sat up. She's got her ears back. She's like, "What was that? Hey, kitten, you want to come and say hi?" I would bring her to say hi, but she bites. So.
Oh, probably best just to leave her where she is.
She's very cute, but she can be a little bit snippy if you decide to, make her move when she doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, aren't we all like that? If somebody grabbed me and like pulled me onto their lap, I might bite. Maybe.
Sensible. Bite first.
Yeah.
Apologize later.
Yep. So, despite the weird start to my evening, I somehow wrote 1,400 words tonight. So I'm happy with that. That's my upper end of. I normally can write for about an hour and a half in an evening, and that seems to be what I can do in an hour and a half. So, at an absolute maximum. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. So how about you? Are you at a good point for?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
tonight
kept track of words because
Yeah.
I will certainly have enough words in this manuscript. That is not a problem. I'm a bit of an overwriter, so I will have to trim a lot of stuff down. But I'd rather have too much to work with than too little.
Same.
I just feel a bit sorry for my poor editor, where Yas was probably expecting 60, 75,000 words, and I'm like, here's 95. I don't
So
think
I did, Rosie. That's what I did in my book too.
Is that what you do? Yeah.
Yep. It went over 100k, and I managed to trim it to 93k or something. It was still really long compared to book one. It was 20k more or something.
Well, I did a little count of how many words I've written since I started trying to write this draft, because I have rewritten the dreaded middle so many times and thrown it out and started again. I actually wrote almost the whole novel and then started from scratch.
Oh no.
A month and a bit ago. So when I actually added up all the words, I have written 150,000 words in 2.5 months.
That's amazing.
I'm not keeping most of it, but I can do it. I wrote it. It's nice to know.
Sometimes it's funny, isn't it? I know I've had Cynthia on before, Cynthia Murphy, and she likes to kind of think it a lot and then write and not delete a lot. So I think she underwrites and then adds to it. Whereas I'm more of a you. I write far more than I need and then whittle it down to something. Like whittling a steak, I whittle it down to something sharp and pointed, hopefully by the end. But it's a big mushy piece of wood to stop.
Mush. It's all mush.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I don't know, I find a lot of the gems, when I'm just trying to explore my character's internal world, I think that's where sometimes I just have to let Charlie monologue for a page, knowing that by the time I finish, that's going to be a paragraph. I just need to know. I'm like, dude, where's your brain at? How are you feeling? What's going on? And he'll often surprise me by being like, well, I mean, I know that this is really important, but I'm also worried about this in my life and this because I'm a teenager and I have all these other worries that aren't supernatural stuff. So I might have to remember that he's worried about that too. So
yeah, I find that with Mina, and as I'm getting on, there's more worries. So sometimes she just stands there and it's like, let me tell you the 27 things in order of how deadly they are that I'm worried about. I'm like, has she got too many worries? Is this too much for one teenage girl to bear? But this is the nature of the books we write, isn't it? We put them in these.
It is our job to write books about teenagers who have to deal with stuff way beyond their emotional maturity level. They just have to save the world. It's on them.
Way beyond my emotional maturity level. I think if I was met with most of the things that our characters are, I'd be like, I'm just gonna be over here crying. You do the problem solving. I'll just cry. I'll look after the children.
Do you ever write them into situations and you're like, ha ha ha, and then you're like, no, I have to get them out of the tree that's on fire. What?
All the time. I've got a scene that I really want to write in this, which is a very ambitious setting. Very ambitious setting. I've not visited in New Orleans, so I feel a bit worried about it. And it's quite an unstable setting, physically unstable. I'm like, this is going to be painful to write, but I really want to. I'm excited about. It's going to be good, I think, but very hard to execute.
Do you know what Google Map Street View is?
Yeah, all the time. Do you drag the little person on, to see what they're looking at this point?
Yeah,
I do that all the time.
And the good thing about, New Orleans as well is it's a bit similar to York in that it's a big tourist destination. So there are so many pictures of different landmarks,
Yeah.
inside landmarks, outside landmarks. Although I do have a list of places and facts I need to check when I go. I'm going to hopefully do an editorial visit and go and stay for a few days, probably in 2 different bouts when I'm doing my edits. And I'm like, I need to walk around this location. I need to see whether, partly it's accessibility, because like with Charlie, if he like, I've got more scenes in this book where he's using his wheelchair, and it's very hard to tell from Google Maps like whether something is a ledge that he could realistically like go backwards up and just kind of pop himself up it, or whether it's going to be more of an issue, whether there's enough turning space for his chair in certain places. So just like getting him around, sometimes I have to I need to be there to really see what the space is like. So yay, trip to York. It'll be fun.
And that's not far from me, Rosie. So
No,
Beth,
not you.
please do. I don't have the benefit of that. I can't just pop to New Orleans, sadly. I think probably I'm not going to get back there until after I finish writing these books, which is a shame. But maybe I can edit if I've done anything horrible and like completely wrong.
Maybe you have any readers in New Orleans?
Yes, that's been so helpful. My friend Hannah, bless her, went to all of the locations in book 1. She was going on holiday there, and she said, "Do you want me to visit anywhere?" And I was like, "Can you just like go to these few places?" And she's like, "Tell me the full list. Come on, you've told me 2 or 3. Tell me all of them." And she went to every single one, and she took pictures of weird things like fences. She spotted this wall that had like broken glass along the top, and I was like, "Why? What are they trying to keep in or out?" And that went in the book. Like, it was just so helpful. Like, she knew what I would want.
Details.
Yeah, she knew what I'd want, like the creepy, weird, gross stuff. Like, there's a bit where there's this strange, like, jester's head in the window of this museum. And again, that went in there because I was like, why? I need it. And it was there in the 90s, apparently. So I'm like, it's fine. That's the other problem. Like, stuff may not have been there that I'm writing about. Like, there was a really cool, like vampire merchandise shop, I think, but it didn't come in until the 2000s, so I had to kind of make my own in the Mina books. Like, it didn't exist. I'm going to create one. Let us see how people in the comments are doing, and then we can kind of wrap this up. Ashlyn, I hope it's going well and that we sufficiently motivated you. I don't know whether, are you carrying on writing after this, Rosie? I'm going to have to go to sleep fairly soon.
I am very, very tired. I've done a full day at work. Luckily, I was able to hide out the back a bit, and I had to do a lot of data. We just did a book fair at school, so I had a lot of data stuff and like stock stuff to deal with, which was so I could sit on a chair out back and like write things. Not the book, but write notes. Whereas I didn't have to be on my feet all day, which was a bit of a lifesaver. But I am still like really tired, so yeah, I'm gonna sleep.
Good. Bedtime. Well, if you're still writing, Ashlyn, good luck. Keep going. We believe you can do it. Oh, look, another sale, Rosie. Just
Nicole. Thank you.
Definitely not one you want to wait for. But yeah, that's productive. That's what these sprints are for. Do something that you need to tick off your list. Like buying Rosie's book. Yeah, I don't see any way sometimes to not. I mean, some books over 100k are absolutely fine. If you're writing that YA contemporary, maybe you're going to need to trim a bit. But if it's that epic high fantasy that Rosie's toying with, maybe over 100k is fine.
I just like remind myself that Twilight is over 100,000 words. So
yeah,
it's fine.
Exactly. Apparently that got through because of like Stephanie Meyer reckons it was her agent was quite, or an agent's assistant, I'm not sure if it's her actual agent or her agent's assistant, was quite inexperienced and was like, 100,000 words is fine, isn't it, for a book? Here you go, and like passed it on to the next stage. So it kind of slipped through the debuts can't write long books thing. She sort of got around it.
And just got around it.
And people were obsessed by that point. They're like, it doesn't matter how long it is, it's Twilight. Yes, we sympathise. I'm there too. I'm at 32k, and like I think I'm at the beginning of the book. So
it happens.
Yeah, it's a bit scary, but we're all in it together. Yeah, that's a nice one. It's better than my mushy story would, which sounds really wrong as I say it. Being whittled into a steak. Yeah.
Splodgy word stuff. Do you know what? When I send my book into my editor next week, I'm going to say, "Here's the splodgy word stuff."
You make it into a beautiful novel, yeah. I'm sure though, Yaz, this is her bread and butter, isn't it? She will look at that and help to steer you, so it's all fine.
Yeah, I'm excited because this is like my first time working editorially with her properly. So I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yay. Okay, well, the comments have gone quiet, so I think this is a good point for us all to go to sleep, or for you to continue reading. People at the other end, or whatever you're planning to do tonight or today, if you're in a different time zone. But thank you for joining me and Rosie and Dawn earlier. We hope you've had a nice time. And I will be doing my usual sprints on Thursday, just to confuse you. I like to throw in an extra one and mix things up. I'm also recording a really exciting interview on Saturday with Suzanne Young, who wrote In Nightfall, that's coming out really soon. So I'm excited to have a nice vampy chat with her. Ashlyn, oh no. I feel like we need to chat, Ashlyn. I'm not sure what that is that you're working on. I think I maybe know, but I need more details. If you want to come on, Ashlyn, on Thursday, I'm going to be sprinting, so let me know. And Rosie, I don't know what point you're going to be. If you want to come back on Thursday, if you're still...
I might be able to come up on Thursday.
away.
Let me just look at my calendar. What am I doing Thursday? I think I should, in theory, be free.
Okay. Well, if you still need us, if you want to come and smugly say you've done, feel free to do that too, but I will glower at you.
I will not be done. I will definitely not be done.
Join the club of drafting.
Full of next week to get this whole thing. Yeah, so I will be like, and I actually got lots of work done. It kind of kept me going, so.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, Ashlyn, if you're still here, Rosie, come on Thursday and we'll keep each other going. Thank you. Good night, Nicole. Or good day if you're in a different time zone. And Rosie and I will catch you probably on Thursday. So take care and have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.